Yes. So have you mentored? Have you been mentored before? And what does that feel like? Only 2 people are speaking to me. I want to be sure we are on, mentored unofficially. That's still okay. That's fine. Sometimes we have mentors that engage us, but it's unofficial. You've been mentored, Esther. Great. This is good. I just want to make sure we are in, not our machines are logged in. Good morning, Amwareta in Kisumu. Thank you, Josephine from Kisumu. Thank you. We are up. We are 17 thereabout or more. So I would expect to see at least a hello, yes, from a number of you, just to be sure we all logged in and we are up. So great. Mentoring skills and what we think about mentoring. Now, the objectives of this training is number 1, explain why do we need to mentor people, why we need to mentor people. Number 2, list the responsibilities of a mentor, discuss the parameters to assess mentees, explain how to enhance mentees' performance, describe the principles of designing mentoring process. Let me say this as we go on, so that we can concentrate and you don't have to write so much. I'm sure ACHRP will share these on the portal. Usually our content is shared on the portal, so that you don't have to write so much. Then we'll manage on how you get this. You get to access the portal. So don't get so involved in taking notes or taking screenshots. I know we do a lot of that, so that we are moving together. You will access that on the portal once you're on the portal. To describe the principles of designing mentoring process, describe the elements of an effective mentoring process, to describe characteristics of an effective mentoring process, explain how to give feedback while mentoring, explain how to mentor different types of personalities. We have different people. Your mentees can be of different personalities, so you need to know how to approach each of them. To explain how to mentor people for growth, because when you mentor people, you're injecting knowledge, you're investing in them, and you would obviously expect to see them grow. To discuss the development tools used for mentoring, discuss the role of learning and development in mentoring, to list the criteria for evaluation of mentoring process, explain the importance of self-confidence for a mentor. Because if a mentor has no confidence, then the mentee will begin to question the ability of the mentor. Now, to list the tips for better mentoring. Now, we start with this introduction, and a very interesting one. On the screen, you see a focused gentleman. You see a smart gentleman, you see, in a tie, in a suit. Now, Derek Hudson has recently joined Phoenix Software as a software developer. And you can always put in KBC. He's joined KBC as a software developer. Now, Derek has about 2 years of prior experience. You can put your name there. That, I think, helps you personalize this whole process. Now, Derek has received an email from Phoenix Human Resource Executive before his joining date. Now, this is what is really supposed to happen, especially when you're joining an organization. I want to imagine that your HR is here as well, or someone in charge of employee onboarding. And this is what the email says: Dear Derek, congratulations. We welcome you to the Phoenix Software family. Just a minute, I need to pull this a little bit on the side. Yes. We welcome you to the Phoenix Software family. As a part of making your tenure with us pleasurable, a pleasurable one, we have identified a mentor for you. Your mentor will be Rachel Smith. She will help you learn more about Phoenix and make the most out of your job and career with us. Rachel can be reached on this email. Wish you a very successful tenure with us. Warm regards, Jennifer Holt, Senior Executive HR. How does that email make you feel when you join an organization? Let's engage on the chat. How does that make you feel? And did you receive that when you join the organization? Are you receiving it? Or it might be something that you may need to introduce. Because what this email says is that we are ready for you. You know, we welcome you. Congratulations, among many others that applied for this job. You made it and we've settled on you. Now, welcome to this family. And I know most organizations are now getting into the culture of a family culture. You hear people say we are a family. It's a family culture. KBC is a family, you know. So welcome to this family. And as part of making your tenure with us a pleasurable one, that is very good. You know, they are prepared for you. They've prepared for you someone to show you around. Now, when you prepare a mentor, it also means you've prepared me for growth. And what it tells me from outside is that the organization is ready to receive me. The organization has found someone that is a bit higher than me. I am definitely thinking and believing that Rachel Smith is higher than Derek himself in the experience and exposure. And so it says, welcome, and your mentor is going to be so-and-so. So that definitely creates that environment of I am home, I am safe, I'm in safe hands. I've worked in organizations before where we would call that a buddy. I don't know what you call that in your organization, but it's okay, because you would say your buddy will be so-and-so. Now that buddy is the person that receives you on the first day. That's the same person that takes you for lunch. That's the same person that handholds you until you can take off in an organization. So building that culture where you prepare for employees, you know, when people join an organization, you hand them over to someone else so that they are not everybody's responsibility. Now, if everything is done by everybody, then it kind of has nobody takes responsibility. You see those roles that is everybody's job. Then when things go bad, then there's nobody in control of it. But I like this feeling, and I can imagine what Derek was feeling. Like, we are ready for you. Rachel is waiting for you. Rachel will handhold you and help you to grow. So now you have seen that Phoenix really cares about its new hires. That's why they assigned a mentor to the new hire. So have you ever had a coach or a mentor? Feel free to keep answering that question. It is okay if you've never had one. There's nothing wrong with you not having one, but you can always start somewhere. So it is good to have a coach. I personally have a coach. I have mentors. I have people that I look up to, and people that will also ask me tough questions, and people that can or even say no. You want to move this in this direction? No. You want to invest here? No. You want to do this? No. You know? But it's not always a no. There are those that also cheer you on and they say, keep going, keep going. So it is okay if you don't have a coach. It is okay if you don't have a mentor. You can always start here today. So have you ever had a coach or a mentor? How are mentors or coaches helpful? Let's engage on the chat. What do you think is the role of a coach or a mentor? There's no answer that is wrong. I said that it's a very safe space where we are. We are learning together. So how are mentors or coaches helpful? So what exactly should a mentor or a coach do? What is the role of a mentor and a coach? So for you that is looking to coach people or to mentor people, what will be your role? What will be your job, you know? So mentoring helps people as well as organizations to engage employees in a disciplined review of their performance and overall organizational talent. Now, when you have mentors in an organization, when you assign mentees to mentors, it helps you manage the performance in the organization, because the mentor is responsible to ensure that the mentee grows. The mentee is moving from step to step. You know, someone is helping you watch. Actually, it makes the work for HR and the business owners very easy, because there's someone that looks at Esther, there's someone that is watching on her, there's someone that is guiding and saying, take the next step. Now move to the next step. No, stay on this level until you're safer to go to the next step. So it actually makes performance very easy, and talent management in the organization. Now, you have had a lot of terms. You may not all be in HR, but you had a lot of terms of attrition, you know, loss of talent in organizations. It's because sometimes employees are not able to find their space. They're not able to position themselves, or they do not have someone to position them in the organization and to keep reviewing and cheering them on or correcting them. So it is important for mentorship, to have mentorship in your organization. So the next one is mentoring helps guide development of activities of a staff. It's mentorship is more of a manual. You see, your mentor is like a manual. Your mentor helps to guide the development of your activities. They say, this is, sorry, you're at this level, you need to move to this next level. And they will say, no, you cannot move to this other one because I want you to be seasoned in this one so you can handle the next role better. So it also brings HR systems into alignment. That's very perfect. If I know there could be a HR here. That way systems are aligned, and you're able to know employees. You see, like what we are saying about Derek. Derek joined the organization and was handed over to Rachel. Now, Rachel is able to tell Derek, this is what we do in this space. When we want to maybe requisition for something, this is a process. Because you're the mentor, you'll be able to say, this is a process. This is how we, if you're in manufacturing, for those that are in your industry, you say, this is a protocol. This is where we move. This is, you start from this department and move to this department, get it signed by this other department. So it also, the systems get into the mind of the mentees, and it makes the work easier. Now, assures key continuity of key positions. Definitely, and I know this is, we talk a lot about succession planning, and I know you do as well in your organization. Now, when you mentor people, you're able to spot talent that can take over in case someone leaves or something like that. So it is very possible that out of your mentoring processes, then you're able to identify talent. As we said, you're able to guide on the activities, move into the systems, and watch a person grow. You can easily spot a leader and a potential leader as you mentor them. You can spot a person from when they join an organization and how they respond to the systems, how they respond to growth, how they respond to challenges. And as you continue to mentor them, you've heard people say, this person is a candidate for leadership. Now that means that person, very well mentored, will become a leader. So you're able to move into the next steps. Now, it also helps to develop an efficient workforce by enabling decision makers to look at the future performance levels of the employees and organizations. Now, it also helps to assure new managers are prepared for their jobs. That's exactly what we have said, because as we continue mentoring, then you equip the person, you equip the people for the next job. So by the time they get to a certain level, that's why I said, when you look at people, there are people that join organizations and you can easily spot talent, you can easily say, this one can become a leader. So let us do this to this person. Let us enable them. Let us allow them to make decisions step by step. Because when you mentor people, it is a step-by-step growth. curve. You allow them to make a decision, and they say the best way to raise leaders, the best way to allow people make decision and grow them as leaders is do something with them to start with, and then allow them to do it as you watch, or even do it first as they watch, then do it with them, and then allow them to do it as you watch, and eventually allow them to do it on their own and leave them. So that's the way you prepare people for leadership. Now, it also helps to focus on organizational effectiveness when the systems are followed, when the processes are followed, when people are well mentored, they are guided properly, then it is obvious that there's organizational effectiveness because there are no loopholes. What mentors do is that they ensure that the organization runs efficiently, things are running well, the mentees are doing what they should do, they are corrected when they need to be corrected. So that way it becomes very easy for businesses to run. Now, it also helps avoid daily work related as well as transition problems. And I think we've said that day-to-day running of the business is well managed and transition is well done. Now, key to note is when you do proper mentorship, I have seen organizations that really have a big challenge when a key person leaves an organization. And it's because they do not raise other people to handle that role. And not even just leaving organization, being a HR professional, I have seen when a person falls ill and they cannot come to work, sometimes there's such a huge gap until you will notice that Esther is not at work. You will notice that Joseph or Velma or Josephine or Areta is not at work because they have not mentored somebody else to step in when necessary. Now, it is not just, there's a threat that people get. There's a feeling that people have that if I raise Velma so well, she could possibly take my job. If I raise Joseph so well, he could possibly take my job. Now, that's a mentality that is of a person that's not ready to grow, because if I mentor you so well enough to take my job, then it shows the management that I'm ready for the next role and that there will be no gap when I transition from my current position to a higher position and I have Velma ready to take this job, then it means that there will be no gap. Now, the reason why most people are not promoted is because sometimes we do not have a person ready to take your job. So what does an organization do? They will go outside to look for a person to fill the higher position, so you stick to your role. Now that you've not raised or you've not mentored somebody to take your job, then an organization goes out and recruits a talent for this other job. So let us learn to mentor other people and give them the opportunity as we move up the ladder. So we go on. The following should be done to mentor somebody. Engage the proteges. Now, that is be informal when you start to know. It's the same as a mentee. I think I will just use the term mentee so that it is easier for most of you. Be informal when you start to know the mentee or the person that you're training. Now, a protege is a person who is guided by an older person or maybe an influencer or a stronger person. So be informal when you start to know the person. If we're getting, you see, mentorship, if I identify a mentee and I'm the mentor, or if you identify me as your mentee and you're my mentor, and we begin from a really tough, formal, strict relationship, then it kind of builds a wall. Because as a mentee, number one, I look up to you as a role model. Then when we are beginning this journey, I come and find a wall or a very tough person that it's not easily penetratable for me to ask you question, for me to bond with you, for me even to ask very easy questions like, what are your challenges and the rest. So be informal. And when I say informal, don't be disrespectful. Draw your line, because you also need that the mentee will respect you all the way. Remember, it's a mentorship journey. It's a professional relationship. You can be informal, but you're still professional. So be informal when you start to know the person. Just engage everyone personally. As I said, people are different. People have different personalities. If you have different mentees, get to know them as individuals. Don't bundle, even if you have to mentor a group. I know there's mentorship that is done for groups. Please get to know your mentees as an individual. Get to know where Esther is. Get to know where Velma is. Get to know who Velma is and who Esther is. Sometimes just as you begin, get to understand their background so that you're able to handle me, because there could be issues that hinder me from growing, maybe from my family. And that may not be the issue with Josephine. Josephine could have come from a family that affirms them. I could have come from a family that just pushes me down. So get to deal with people as individuals and know them, even if they're in a group, understand them and know how to deal with them as individuals. Now, use appropriate body language. Be very careful. As I said, it's a professional relationship. It is not a personal outside relationship. As much as you're informal, remember that you must remain professional, because the mentee is looking up to you. Now, surprisingly is that the mentee will look up to you in the office and outside office. So don't ever forget that as you continue to mentor people, they're looking at your life within and life without. The way you conduct yourself in the office, the way you conduct yourself outside. So when you're taking up the position of a mentor, when you're taking up the role of a mentor, remember that the person is watching you closely. They are watching every step. It's like a baby. If you jump on a seat and then jump down, if your baby is your mentee, automatically they will do the same thing. So you really need to know, and when you're communicating to them, be careful of the body language. Just know what message you're passing to your mentees. Now, build a rapport with them. Consider using an icebreaker. Whenever you get into a session with them, consider an icebreaker. And the importance of this is so that there's that freedom. There's a possibility to penetrate and ask questions. And the mentee does not feel like you're too high for them to reach. Number one, already by the virtue that you're their mentor, you are high in their minds. So if you come in and you're not able to break that tension, you're not able to break that feeling of, this is my boss, or this is my mentor, or this is the person that I am not even able to reach, or I can never even get to their office, then you will not be able to mentor the person. Now, give precise instructions. Don't be complicated. Just come down to their level. And I said, please understand people as individuals. Now, I may be the type that can take in very hard content. Somebody else in the same team who is your mentee may not be able to take hard content. So learn to give precise instructions, things that they understand, things that they comprehend. That's why it's important for you to understand my level of education, understand where I'm coming from, understand what I have been through, understand who I am and where I am going, because I also have goals. So when you're giving instructions, just make sure you're giving me instructions that are precise and that are easily understood. Now, allow brief announcements and check engagement of all your mentees. So keep checking. Are they engaged? Because there are people that you could be journeying with and they are not together with you. So if you're mentoring a team, be careful that you're not moving with one person and the rest of the people are left behind. Now, the next one is set the strategy and communication tone. help the mentee and yourself to develop ground rules. Now, there must be rules. In any relationship, there must be rules. So, and don't be the one coming with the rules to say, this is what we do, this is how we do it, this is when we meet, this is how we go about it. No. Just engage the mentee so that there's ownership. Now, it's just like making policies in an organization. If you do not engage the employees in designing a policy in an organization, then it becomes very difficult for them to own it. So when you're developing any ground rules for your mentees or for your mentee, make sure that they're involved. What is it that you would want us to do? How do you want us to schedule our meetings? How do you want us to structure our meetings? So what are the rules? What are the boundaries? What is this and this? Of course, remember you're the leader. So there are things that the mentee may just suggest, but as a leader, then you need to be firm and friendly in the way you correct a person. So involve them in developing the ground rules so that the relationship is mutual. It's not you dictating. And when you come dictating a relationship of a mentor and a mentee, then the mentee withdraws. And just, it's natural for human beings to just be defensive. So if you allow that to develop from the start, then you will not go far with that relationship and you will not achieve your goals. Set the stage for agreement. That's the same what I've just said. Clarify the role of each in coach and the mentee relationship. And I think I've said that as well. Then now go over objectives and growth plan. Now you need to sit so that you don't lose track of why you're together. Because I know people can meet and begin talking until you have, conversations that they are good, they are important, but you may lose track of why you're together. So it is important for you to go over your objectives and growth plan. So inform mentoring objectives clearly to everyone. What are the objectives? What are you planning to achieve? Where are you starting? Where are you right now? What do you want to achieve? In the first week, in the second week, you can measure them in the way that you want to. You could decide we are going to measure weekly goals. We are going to have monthly goals. We are going to have quarterly goals or annual. Most people will do a 1 year or maybe 6 months, whatever you want to do. But please inform mentoring objectives clearly to everyone. Ask for input on the objectives and growth plan. Again, as I have said, allow the mentee or mentees to give their input. There's ownership. People tend to own what they have contributed to. You will notice that you could have, it's just like employee programs. If you have employee programs at your place of work, we have a Gen Z, there's a generation called Gen Zs. Those are younger, much younger than us. Now, if you do not involve a Gen Z in even deciding for a trip, forget about a policy. You're planning a company trip, an outing, you don't involve the Gen Zs, you will travel alone. You can travel in a group because you will force them to go, but you will have traveled alone because they are not part of your agenda. Same with mentorship. If you do not involve the mentee, and if the mentor and the mentee do not sit and agree on where they are going, what is the growth, what does it look like? You see, what does success look like in that journey together? And that's really a question, something you need to answer, the two of you from the start. What will success look like 1 year from today? What will success look like 6 months from here? So that you're able to measure, are we moving in the right direction? Do we need to reroute? And I like using that reroute. Most of you use the Google Maps when you drive around town or when you move around town, just like the Uber guys. And for some reason, when you change your route, because they are structured in a way that they have captured this route, you will hear a certain noise that says you are rerouting, and it takes some time to reroute. So if you need to reroute, then you need to do that together. If you need to change direction, you need to do that together. So when you design your growth plan, you need to do that together so that you're moving in the same direction. You are pushing towards the same direction. You're actually targeting the same results. Now, point out any changes to the plan. That's the same thing I've said. If you need to reroute, if you need to change your plan, then you need to point that out, and you need to have conversations that we have. This was our initial plan, but looks like we need to change this. This may not be working, and it's okay if you had foreseen something, or even if you didn't foresee it, and you've discovered as a mentor that it's not working, then you need to quickly sit down with the mentee and change. So review and correct performance. Allow adequate time to evaluate, review, and improve performance. Continually review the performance. So I said you need to agree. Are you going to do weekly? Are you going to do monthly? Are you going to do per quarter? But you need to review the performance so that you see the mistake most people will make, and just like in any organization, and the same, it's similar with mentorship, is that you want to review my performance 6 months after. Now you have lost time because, sorry, if there was something that wasn't going right in the first week or the first month, you missed an opportunity to correct it. So the next 5 months, I would have done it right. So just learn to allow adequate time to evaluate and review, and to improve the performance. Now, address shortfalls, and failures and weaknesses. And when you address the shortfalls and failures and weaknesses, do them with respect, do them with grace. I think that's the way I need to say it, so that you also do not create a scenario where a person withdraws and a person fears to make mistakes, because you need to allow them, even if they make mistakes, you need to allow them to make mistakes. That's the way you learn. For you that learned driving here, you tried the first time, you will make your mistakes. You will step on the wrong pedal and you will immediately go on the brakes, or your instructor will go on the brakes. It's the same thing, because you're the driver here, you're the instructor here. There's a person learning, so allow them to make mistakes, but be able to address those shortfalls and address them with grace. So I think that's the first bit. So this is a quick one. And I think I will need us to engage on the chat. Which of the following should not be done to mentor somebody? To mentor someone: number one, engage, protege, build a rapport with the protege, compare one protege to another, review and correct performance. Which one do you think should not be done to mentor? Let's go to the chat.
Okay, my name is Dickens. Chair.
Yes, Dickens.
According to your question, which of the following should not be done?
Yes.
My answer is although you have not mentioned many ABC, but it is compare one project with another one. That is, I think, is the worst one, compare.
Yes. Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. I see we are alert. Thank you, Dickens. It's true, because people are different. Even coming to really to your homes, whether it's your children or your siblings, you're different. I have 2 daughters, and they're very different, absolutely different, from the same mother, same father, different. So you can imagine if you begin to compare your mentees, it would really be a bad thing. So the following are the various responsibilities that a mentor has to fulfill as he mentors or she mentors or coaches the mentees. Now, creating and managing diversity, and it's the same thing that you have answered, manage diversity. People are different. People come from different backgrounds. People come from different religions. People come from different upbringing. So be able to manage that. Turning individual to team players. Sorry. Work at, just allow me to take something, sorry. So turn individuals into team players. Now, when you pick a mentee, you pick a mentee or mentees as individuals. Now, you are training a mentee to be a leader, and they cannot be leaders without followers. I keep saying in my trainings that if you're a leader and you have no followers, you're probably taking a walk. So you have to raise your mentees to be people that can work in teams. Because if you're mentoring people in your place of work right now with the KBC team, you're mentoring Esther. So you're mentoring me for a role, possibly a higher role. And I'm not going to go up alone. I'm not going to go to a role where I don't manage anybody. I'm not going to go to a role that even if I'm not managing a team, I am working within teams, different teams. So you need to raise that a mentee to know that they need to work in teams. Now, quality management, you need to, and they need to understand, as a mentor, you have to fulfill this, the quality management of time, the quality management of skills and talent. Now, as a mentor, please be careful that you could have picked somebody, you could have picked Velma. I don't know, Velma, your name is good. I think it's the one I am seeing, and I'm seeing an Esther here. So you could have picked Esther here, Dunge, as at level 2. Just make sure as a mentor that by the time you finish with Esther, she's not at level 1. She better be 3, 4, 5, going up. So you need to manage their time well, manage their talent and skills perfectly so that you're adding value to them. Now you need to enhance performance. There needs to be at least some signs. We need to see that since Chariot got into mentorship, the performance has improved. You know, their response to issues has changed. The way they react to things has changed. The way they manage their teams has changed. The way they also manage their own time has changed. So we need to see value in what you are doing. Now, the people there needs to also be innovation. Now, allow your mentees to innovate. Give them the space to innovate. Again, I come back to Gen Zs. Now, the Gen Zs are very innovative. And if you want to kill the skill for this very young generation, just deny them room to innovate. Of course, there's a lot of control that needs to be done, but they have a lot to give. I mean, they just wake up with an idea that you think is wild. That's why you see a lot of young people giving us engineering ideas, things that you have not thought about. Someone just somewhere, a young boy in the village decides he can craft a plane somewhere. So in your space, which is communication, give them the power to innovate. Under your leadership, you could possibly get solutions to your issues through your mentees when you allow them to innovate. You would definitely need to check on what they do, but be careful and ensure that you affirm them. You will need to weigh what they innovate. You need to build on it, but don't kill their dream. That's basically what I'm saying. Don't kill the dreams of a mentee, because a mentee will come and give you a crazy idea. I mean, just a crazy one, and you're thinking this doesn't work. But if you listen to them, keenly, they have something to say. It may not end up being the same thing they were saying, but you, as a mentor, you have the wisdom to even twist what they were saying into something else. Motivate them as well. learn to choose your words as a mentor, even when you're correcting a mentee. Choose the words you use, because a mentee is a fragile person in your hands, and a mentee actually takes everything you say as Bible truth. Now, if you make a mistake and use a word that demotivates a mentee, you as a mentor will have to dig deep again. You start from scratch to build the confidence of that person. So learn to use motivating words. Even when they make mistakes, it is good to correct people and correct them with grace. It's good to say, this may not work at this point. Maybe in the next 3 months, we can revisit it. For now, let's try this and this, but I like the idea, and I'm going to also look at it and think about it and come back to you. Now, you have said, you have shelved that idea, and you've allowed the mentee to walk the journey with you, to shelve it as well, but you did not demotivate the person, you know? So there's a choice of words in what you say as a mentor. You need to be very careful. You could kill what you've given birth to, you know? You can, you know, a mentee is just like a child you're raising. You can crush that child even at 9 months when you're just about to get the good results at the end of the year. So let's be very careful. Let's make sure that we motivate them. Now, involve, that's what we said, involve fearless environment, you know, respect, take time out, respect the mentees. Respect the mentees. And I think it's also good that we know there has to be respect between the two. The mentee must respect you, and you must respect the mentee, because they are also people, and they have their rights. You have your rights. It's a relationship. It's a professional relationship. So the mentor is expected to involve the mentee, involve them, and create a fearless environment. Allow me to say this now. There's this talk that's never ending, and I'm very passionate about it in the workplace, toxicity in the workplace. Now, if you're a toxic boss, I highly doubt you could mentor a person that fears you, you know? If you're that toxic boss and then you tell me that you're going to be my mentor, I think that is when people say, I better stay without a mentor, you know? So as a mentor, you need to learn how to create a fearless environment, a space where an employee or a mentee feels safe to approach you at any time, to ask you any question, you know? And I have seen leaders who, in a place I worked, a boss would tell the employee, you're asking me too many questions, you know? And that was a new employee. So the employee just withdrew, you know? If I'm asking, the person is definitely asking questions to learn more. But if you create fear, if, you know, leaders have confused fear with respect. Now, those are two different things. If people fear you as a leader or as a mentor, it doesn't mean they respect you. Those are two different things. People can fear you, but they don't respect you. If there's anything you need to pursue as a leader and as a mentor, is respect. So look for respect. You do not need to create fear in an environment, because people are not productive. They don't give you the best. They don't bring out the best in them when they're operating in fear, you know? So this beast, I call it a beast of toxicity in the workplace, just kind of kills talent. It kills the ability in people. It kills their innovation. It kills their involvement and kills their performance. So as leaders, and I know there are leaders in this call, fear I say fear is by no means a close relative of respect. So ensure that people respect you. People can run to you anytime. People can walk into your office anytime. People can come with questions anytime. And that's why one of us here said that they've been mentored informally. Now, there are people that mentor you. I've had people walk to me and say, you know, you're my mentor. And I'm thinking, we've never had that conversation. But just note that people watch you as a mentor. You've not formalized it, but there are people that term you as a mentor. And there are people that will mention your name as their mentor, even if you have no idea about it and you've never engaged with them. So for a mentor, it's important that you create a fearless environment. I know this is a place I can stay forever. So respect and take time out. That could be a conversation. And then we'll organize that. ACHRP will organize that for leadership, maybe, because we need to discuss that, because leaders need to know that somehow automatically you are a mentor to many people until you create an environment where people look at you with a different eye, you know. So make sure that as a leader, you carry yourself well and create an environment of respect and not fear. So turning individual to team players, we talked about it, training them, motivating, selecting them, and all that. Quality management, a mentor must aim for total quality management by taking into consideration various aspects as follows: contribution, the time, the authority, and the support. Now, you remain in power in the process of mentoring, but I always say you don't have to push people down. You don't have to shout it for people to know that you're in authority. It is how you carry yourself and it is what you do. I say be a leader or be a mentor that is firm but friendly. Firm but friendly. That you can say no and say it in a friendly way. And the people that follow you know that you said a no. You didn't have to shout. You don't have to scream at people. You really don't have to struggle to be heard. But because they respect you, they know your yes is a yes and your no is a no. So enhancing performance can be enhanced by synergy, just bringing people together, the energy together, work with their team to maximize output. Innovation, I said mentors should empower the mentees to make him accountable for innovation process. So if you're mentoring me in engineering, allow me to innovate, allow me to think out of the box and try to give you solutions. Pose questions and scenarios and allow me to give you solutions for that. You're in a very good space in KBC, very good space. Just, it is very good, easy for you to really mentor people and tell someone I need a solution. This is, you see, when you're mentoring people and you want to give them an opportunity to innovate, you just pick an issue, pick a problem that you've seen. We are having this challenge when we broadcast. We are having this challenge in engineering. We are having this challenge when we do this. We have this echo. We have this background noise. We have these challenges. Our customers are saying this. You know, we are getting this feedback from customers. So how do you think we should resolve that? So those are very easy ways for you to throw a challenge to them, allow them to innovate and give you solutions. Motivate. You know, mentors should motivate mentees to drive high performance. Even for leaders at the top, I think if you have the next level top, we always have another top person. So if you're a leader and you have mentees, think about the relationship that you desire from your next level leader, then pass that down to the rest. If you want a good relationship, if you do not want a person that, you see, if you keep demotivating me, if you keep injecting negative energy in me and you're my mentor, and you keep complaining, you keep, murmuring, you keep, having issues, I will look at you as a mentee and I'm thinking there's a problem here, So I want to look at you and I want to feel motivated. I want to listen to you as my mentor and I want to feel motivated. I want to have a mentor that tells me we can do it. Esther, you can do it. Josephine, you can do it. Velma, you can do it, I don't want a mentor that keeps telling me what's your problem. You've made the mistake again. How many times am I going to tell you to stop this? That demotivates me. I want a mentor that corrects me, yes, but corrects me with grace and says that we've tried this many times and it's not working. Let's try this other option. In short, you've told me, let's not go this route. So it's a language. It's a choice of language. Is an art, and there are people that know how to speak a language of motivation, a language of excellence. So as a leader, as a mentor, you need to know how to motivate your people. Understand what motivates individual mentees. There are mentees that are super confident. Whatever you tell them, whatever you say, doesn't affect them. There are others that can easily be crushed by just one single word or even a shout. So just know your mentees and know your team members. Now, remember, just a minute, I need to push something here. Good, that's okay. Remember that retention of your proteges when you are coaching is 10% what they read, 20% of what they hear, 30% of what they see, 50% of what they both hear and use, and 70% of what they say, 90% of what they say and do. Now, you see the power of what you speak to yourself. So you need to teach. You can see the 70 where it begins to change is what you hear and what you use. Now, what comes to we are human beings, and what people say about you, no matter how tough you think you are, it affects you. So if you have a mentor, if you have a mentor that speaks negative every time, a mentor that just drains you, it affects the confidence and the results of what you want to achieve. Now, 30% of what they see, because it is either from the environment and it is also from what they see in you and what they also see in the organization. So we also need to have an environment that encourages positive thinking, and for people to see the possibilities of growth. Now, 50% of what they both hear and use or see, 70% of what they say. So you have to teach your mentees to speak positive. You have to teach them to stop thinking negative and speaking. The power of words. There's a power in spoken words. So you have, whenever you find that a mentee is negative in their thoughts, the way they're thinking and what they're saying is negative, you need to help them unlearn that. It could have come from the family, it could have come from previous experiences, it could have come from previous workplaces. And that's why it's important when people get into an organization that you induct them into your culture. And the reason why we do onboarding, we do induction for employees is because we want to remove the past, which is not good, and plant our own culture, organizational culture. I'm an ambassador of organizational cultures. So it is important that you make sure that they speak a language that the organization speaks, So what they say needs to be aligned with where you're going. If you begin to hear a talk or conversation that is deviating from your goals, in the mentorship, then you need to correct that very fast. And 90% of what they say and what they do. So when you say something and when you do it, that needs to be aligned and it gives great results. So that is it. And then, so again, I come with a question here. Which of the following is not the responsibility of a mentor? It's not a responsibility that a mentor has to fulfill as he mentors or coaches his mentees. Let's get someone else that can unmute. Which one of this is not a responsibility that a mentor has to fulfill as he mentors or coaches the mentees? Attending mentees' personal parties, turning individuals to teams, team players, enhancing performance, and motivating. Which one is not? I will just allow someone to unmute.
My name is Dickens again.
Yes, Dickens.
Dickens. I can see they're quiet.
Dickens is a good student. I know the others are listening. We are different. Dickens.
According to your question, which of the following is not a responsibility that a mentor has to fulfill? Me, I cannot fulfill point number one.
Why? What if a mentee wants you to attend
Attending
their party?
mentors'
They're part of your life. You've brought them into your life. Is that wrong? By the way, is it wrong for a mentor to attend a mentee's personal party?
My trainer, it is a concern, yes, but you see, it is personal parties. It is not corporation parties. You see, it is very vital to keep line boundaries on what you are mentoring. You see, there are some personal parties which, if you involve in it.
Can I take it?
Yes, good. You can.
Joan here. It's not my responsibility to attend the mentees' personal parties, yeah? But I think if they invite me and feel that my presence would be necessary, maybe as a friend, you know, as a colleague, fine. But it's not like you just bump into that party because maybe you want to monitor what they are doing. So for me, attending the mentees' personal parties, it's not my responsibility now, unless it's by invitation, you know, like they really need my presence. Yeah, that's my
Josephine has raised her hand. Josephine?
Yeah, I think my statement is parties. If it was one party, maybe for a purpose, when it's parties, then it's tendency of because there's some boundaries that need to be set. There are some rules, ground rules that need to be set that we need to watch.
True, very true. Yeah, attending the personal parties is not your responsibility. So even if they feel like you're being too tough, I think there are boundaries that you need to set as a mentor. I agree. Now, as we move, requirements of a mentoring process, this documentation, standard goals, practical and standard format, evaluation techniques. We talked about evaluating the performance, communication, how you need to communicate and how you need to give feedback, and removing the personal biases. What should mentors measure? Customers' perspective, financial regulatory perspective, internal perspective, and learning and growth. Now, when we talk about customer, possible measures, customer satisfaction, average satisfaction gap analysis, that is satisfaction versus level of importance, and satisfaction distribution, that's percentage of areas scored. Now, when you're doing this, let me just move back to this. sorry, yeah. The possible performance measures. Now, customer satisfaction. Let's talk about a mentee. It depends on where the mentee is. If your mentee is, I think I want to move into your area of expertise, where you are. If you're measuring the performance and the growth and the developments of your mentee, you need to look at the gaps that you're closing, the satisfaction of the customers involved, the customer's perspective. I have done a bit of, I definitely did sales at some point because I'm passionate about sales and marketing, and not just sales and marketing. I'm just passionate about excellence. And I honestly hate bad service. I hate, I avoid using the word loathe, but I do loathe bad customer experience. If I walk into an office and maybe because of the combination of the HR in me, and maybe the salesperson and the lawyer advocate in me, I quickly will pick gaps in specific places. You don't definitely go fault finding, but you too will not walk into a supermarket like Quickmart and you're paying for service, or somewhere you're paying for service and get bad customer service. So if you're mentoring someone, if you're a mentor, then you need to measure the progress of your mentees in their service, in the gaps that they are closing. It depends on where you're taking them. You're moving them in a certain direction. So when they continue to serve, is their satisfaction? Is it average? Is it great? Is it, what is the level of satisfaction? How much of the goals are they meeting? If they're serving a customer, and I know you're in this industry because your customers, anyway, every business has a customer at the back end, whether you're an engineering company that doesn't keep in touch with people, you have a customer that receives a service or a product. So you need to measure where your mentee is as a mentor in fulfilling and closing gaps. So think about that. Are they moving in the direction? Are they solving a pain point? Those are very common. Anyone here in sales or something, you will think about a pain point in a customer. Are they solving something? Because the essence of you existing as a business, the essence of you mentoring someone, and the essence of everyone being in an organization and being hired. If you're in marketing, you're solving something. If you're in HR, you're solving something. If you're in engineering, there's something you're doing. So what is that person achieving? You're able to measure that. The cost unit, the regulatory perspective, cost of mentee service. Now, and I had this question, someone asked, should we charge mentees? Who should answer that? Should we charge mentees when we mentor people? Should we charge them? Oh, someone on the call. Should a mentee be charged?
Yes and no.
Explain to me.
Yes, if at all, the kind of mentorship these mentees looking for is really high level, professional. And no, if at all, the kind of mentorship that this mentee is looking for is purely social, psychosocial support. Yeah.
I hear you definitely. And I think whether you charge or not is a decision that you need to make. Of course, in the workplace, I don't expect that to be charged in the workplace, because as a leader, it's your responsibility to mentor other people. If you're doing it externally, you can decide whether to charge or not. But even if you're mentoring people in the workplace and you're not charging them, I think it is important for a mentee to understand that you're injecting time and resources, and your resources in terms of your skills and your knowledge, so that they value what you do. I can imagine an MD sitting with me for 1 hour. That's where you are advised to calculate the cost, because how much is a director or how much is a manager paid? You look at how much time a person invests. Maybe the person invests 2 hours per week in having a conversation with you, so that a mentee also does not take that for granted. You know, a mentee does not think that you're idle. That's why you have that conversation. They need to understand that there's a cost to it, that you are injecting or you're transferring your skills that are valuable and time to them. So it is important for you to also have those measures and those conversations with them. The cycle time, the completion rate, workload and employee utilization, transaction per employee, and errors or rework. That's an internal perspective of it. Look at the time, you know, the cycle time, the time that you spend, and the turnaround time for everything that they do as well. Because if, let's say I've seen some systems in hospitals. When you go into a hospital, they tend to measure the TAT, the turnaround time, from when you get into the hospital and when you leave. So they have a sheet that follows you, that you came to the reception at 8, the reception fields, they finished with you at 8 or 5. You went to the triage at this time. You left that place at this time. So then they're able to monitor how long a person takes, including the doctor, because there are places where the doctor will just talk and talk and talk and talk and talk. It's not making business sense, definitely. So that cycle time, the TAT, the completion rate, you know, and the results, you need to have that internal perspective about things done. Employee satisfaction, retention and turnover. Now, employee satisfaction is to managers. I'm looking at how to present it to you as different people. It's very easy to throw it to HR, but you may never get employees 101% satisfaction, but there's a certain threshold of 99 point something or 90%. Any organization that has 90% of employee satisfaction is usually one of the best places to work. You've had people saying, I would like to work for this organization. I would want to. This is one of the best employers. This is one of the best places to work. So you need to measure learning and growth in terms of the satisfaction. Are employees growing? Are they happy? Are they moving from one level to another? Because employee satisfaction is not just the salary. I know money is a motivator. So when I say it's not just salary, I am cognizant of the fact that we all need money. But you can have a very good salary, but you're not happy as an employee. So there's so much that you need to measure. Is there growth, you know? Is there culture and environment healthy for you? Your mental wellness in an organization. Are you okay? Because you can really be in a toxic place, and toxicity has turned out to be one of the hazards in the workplace, in mental wellness. So employee satisfaction really needs to be measured in very many ways. And I know there are things like EAPs, employee assistance programs, and other forums where you can measure that satisfaction. Now, retention and turnover. Now, we need to know, and not just HR. And I've seen organizations that really leave employee satisfaction and all these measures, these learning and growth measures, that leave this to HR alone. Now, leaders in different departments are responsible for employee satisfaction in their own departments. If you're a mentor or you're a leader in this forum, just know that you're responsible for employee satisfaction in your own department. The HR is more of a support and an oversight department, but you as a leader, you as a mentor in your department or the team that you mentor, you're responsible for the satisfaction of your team. You need to make sure it is you that raises a voice to the next level and says that my team need to be motivated on this level. My team has achieved this. We had a deadline of this, and this is where we are. We've achieved it before. So that employee satisfaction is not just a HR function. Now, when you come to retention and turnover, what keeps you need to understand as a mentor, what keeps employees, what keeps your team engaged? Because the minute people are disengaged, there's something we call disengaged employees. The minute employees begin to disengage in any conversation, just know you're beginning to lose them. Retention and retention for employees is also a lot on their growth, their career growth, the culture within the organization. Peter Drucker says culture eats strategy for breakfast. So if your culture, and a friend of mine told me, Esther, Peter Drucker says culture eats strategy for breakfast. And for him, he says, and it will even eat your strategy for lunch and dinner. So if you're not careful on how on your organizational culture, you will lose a lot of people. And most of the time you lose people at the top. People that are concerned about where the organization is going, people that are concerned about their growth, people that are concerned about their image as well. So when a culture is not good, you begin to lose top talent. Now, the turnover in an organization can mess your brand. And it's important that leaders and everybody in this conversation understands that it's not just saying, let them go. It's not that, you need to be able to measure turnover rate in an organization. How many people have left an organization between this time and this time? And what does that mean to us? What is that saying to this organization? Don't just overlook that and say it's okay, they can go if they want to go. No, it affects the brand. It will affect KBC because you see, we have platforms like Glassdoor. Before people can join an organization, they're not just looking at, nowadays, they just don't look at how much you pay them. They just don't look at how big you are. They look at the turnover rate. They look at what exits say about the organization. So we need to be very careful on turnover. And we need to work very hard and extremely hard as leaders and as mentors to make sure that our retention rate is higher than our turnover rate. If our turnover rate is higher than our retention rate, there's absolutely a big problem in an organization. Now, you can measure the training hours and resources, technology investment, how much you've invested. Right now, we are in the tech world, so almost everything. And you see, we can have people from Kisumu join in and get the same thing. So you can measure how much you've invested in that. Good. Let's move into this one. And I know I will need to move a little bit faster. We have quite a lot to cover between today and tomorrow. Any mentoring process monitors the mentee and evaluates them on various measurement parameters like self-development, communication skills, because you need to polish up your mentees, emotional intelligence. This is very key. And a mentee needs to know what to say, when to say it, how to say it, to who, and how to make decisions that matter. The personal effectiveness, creative, innovative thinking. I think we've talked about leadership qualities. They need to know that leadership is not just gaining power. You see, people confuse leadership and power. So if you have the power, doesn't mean you're a leader. You can have the power, but you're not a leader, because you can abuse the power. You see, sorry, the abuse of power by leaders just messes the whole thing. A leader shows the way. A leader takes people into a direction that they have gone before. A leader holds the hands of other people and brings them to the level where they are. Managing of teams, presenting information and influencing others, managing and leading change, personal brand, because this is also very key. I don't know whether you've thought about it, because your personal brand, you as an individual, affect an organization. Your brand, you see, what are you known for? Why would people come to you? What is it that you do so different? And it's that personal brand that makes an organization hire you as well. I don't know whether you've thought about that, that when you go for interviews, there's a branding and there's a brand that you carry as a person, that an organization says, because we've moved as HRs, we've moved from just focusing on your skills and your ability to do the job. We are also now focusing on who are you in your social circles, who are you in your social media spaces, who are you in this, and what is your language, what is your style. I see a hand raised.
Yes.
Radio prod.
Am I clear?
Yes, you are. Absolutely.
Take you back to the topic that you were talking about a short while ago. And what I'm wondering is it a problem if now that we have so many mentors who you are training in KBC, is there going to be a problem if these mentors turn so many mentees into big achievers, big dreamers, and as a result of that, you have a high staff turnover, where these people whom we shall be mentoring will transit into high-paying jobs out there, so that the corporation ends up churning out so many big achievers. Is that? Do you find that to be a problem?
I don't think it is. I think for me, if an organization should be proud of having raised people that have become leaders in this nation, people that take up bigger jobs. I think it's the big problem is if you kill talent. You know, if you're an organization that kills talent, that is a problem. If you're an organization that produces and gives the best people, and in your industry, I have seen people poached to go to other places. I will not name them here. I have seen that it's a very competitive industry, you know, and it's really, it's small. People will spot talent super fast. So I don't think it's a big issue. I know it is actually now the role of the organization to know how to retain those big people. When people become big, when they become big achievers, the challenge now goes back to the organization to say, because we have raised this person, we have raised this one to this level, then how do we retain them? You know, is it by promoting them if there are opportunities? If not that, then they have to create a space where that talent that has grown can be retained, because sometimes you outgrow an organization. And I know you've heard that term. People say, you know, I have outgrown an organization. I mean, I have done everything I can. You've reached the ceiling. There's from organizational structures. If you look at organizational structures, if MD is the highest and you've reached there, sometimes there's no other place to go, you know. So people leave organizations, not because they are unhappy at all times. Sometimes you've outgrown an organization. And I think an organization should be happy when they have raised the best, they have mentored the best, they have really, given the best to the market. You will not be, truth be told, you will not be there forever. think some truths are hard, difficult to say, but truth be told, you will not be there forever. If you outgrow an organization, you have two choices: stay and be stagnant, or develop something to do within the organization. You can as well think through and challenge what is there and open a new side of the business, or challenge the top leadership to do something different, or they can create space for you up there and allow you to open markets and all that. And most of them will open markets in different regions and the rest. That way it gives you a bigger scope. But if then that opportunity is not there for growth, unfortunately, talent has to move to the next level. I hope that answers you. Does it?
At least it does.
At least it does. And there's nothing, people have moved. I keep saying you have also come from somewhere else to come here, wherever you are, isn't it? And we spot talent. So when we hire the best. When we advertise for jobs, we are not looking for someone who has nowhere to go. We are looking for someone that has been polished by somebody else. So the responsibility remains with your current employer to ensure that they retain the best talent. So it is in employee programs, it is in the benefits they give you, it is in the opportunities they give you, and it's the challenges they create for you so that you're ever growing, and you know that you're not stagnant. Because when you disengage, and I said that, when an employee disengages, that's it. So I think we were here. Any mentoring process monitors the mentee and evaluates them on various measurements. I think these ones we were: personal branding, commercial awareness, coaching and developing others, building relationships. And this is very key, especially as every one of them is important. But a mentee must also be able to build relationships, because as they go up the ladder, then they don't need to come and crumble what you have worked on, because you're bringing them, you're raising them and giving them the next step. So they must also be able to build relationships. They must be strategic thinkers. You must raise mentees that are strategic thinkers. Now, you have had conversations like HR is fighting for a space in the boardroom. As strategic partners. Now, strategic partners, strategic thinkers are people that are thinking in the direction of the business. Where is the business going, or what do I need to do? What is my contribution? What value am I adding in this business? So that you are not left behind. And when time comes to shave a certain number of people, it better not be you. So developing the organization, managing performance and business skills. 3 types of performance levels that can arise when you coach a mentee. Maybe satisfactory, unsatisfactory, or incorrigible. Now, incorrigible is just, those people that have reached a level where you can't change them, there are those that are that which is satisfactory. Another one cannot be changed. Let's look at this. It is very important that before beginning to coach someone, a coach should assess the cultural background of the employee. I think I said this when we were beginning. You should be well aware of information regarding the people you're about to coach. This is because each individual is different in terms of their language, their literacy, numeracy, all this, and possible disabilities. Hence, as a coach, you should know these factors to enable you to ensure that everyone can get mentored in the environment you provide for them. So that's your responsibility as a coach, that you need to understand every person. You need to know them, so that when you handle Esther, you handle me as an individual. So look at this now here, just a minute, I need to move something here. Causes of performance problems, substance abuse. May is a mental wellness month, and I honestly hope that you've had your sessions in your organization on mental wellness, because substance abuse affects the performance of employees. Lack of time. You need to allocate time for employees to deliver results. And I keep saying this because sometimes we push people to do something and we don't give them the time that they require for that. And familiar, just a minute, I need to move my icons. I think they're all over the place. Yeah. With equipment or process, ensure that employees, that's why I said onboarding, induction is important. I don't know how you do it in your organization, because employees, when you onboard an employee in engineering, we have very many different types of equipment and processes in different organizations. So when you're doing onboarding, the essence of onboarding an employee, and I don't know, I'm saying again, I don't know how you do it, is to ensure that even if they are experts in their area of operation, when they come into your institution, assume that they don't know anything. Just assume. You really have got to assume, because you're a different organization. So if it is induction and the onboarding process, whatever you're doing, just ensure that every department and every employee has time with HR. They have time with technical department. They have time with procurement. They have time with every other department, so that they understand processes from the scratch. And what you're trying to do is possibly undo what they come with from a different organization, because you had employees say, in my former place, this is what we used to do. In my former place, this is what we used to do. Now, you will, if you do not do proper onboarding, you keep hearing that. It's because in their former place, induction and their onboarding process was thorough. It's gotten into their system. So you find them not being able to gel into your systems, because either it's not been done so well for them to capture. So they will keep referring to the past. So just make sure they are familiar with the equipments that you give, including a laptop. Don't assume that when you onboard someone, people who are used to Mac machines and others are used to the other machines, someone will come and say, I don't know how to operate this. And that's a person that has used laptops for 20, 30 years. So don't assume that they know how your systems or your equipment work or everything. Just make sure you give them the best, because that way you manage their performance. When you do it from the start, you do not lose time for them to keep learning on themselves or asking their colleagues, so how do you operate this one? Low motivation could cause performance issues if employees are demotivated. And leaders, as leaders, you need to have an eye. That's why I said, understand your people, know them as individuals, such that you can possibly know that Esther is not in her best. Because if you know me well, and I'm a hyper person, I am energetic, I am social, I will say what I need to say and how I need to say it. If then you begin to see I am withdrawing, then you need to address that issue. Understand your people, as even as a mentor, understand your team members, so I can spot someone and say, you're not at your best. What's happening, you know? So then you can address it and you can catch it in time. A lack of ability, that can be addressed through training. But you also need to know if you hired the right people, and if they did, because by the time you hire people, they're the right ones, then you need to find out what could have happened. Either you need to upskill, you need to inject some more training in them. Poor peer relationship. So is it an issue with the individual, your mentee, or is it an issue with the system? Is it an issue with the organizational culture? Is it an issue with whatever issue it is? I think you need to address either that. Then poor work ethic. This needs to be addressed so that you're able to get the best. And in that, you definitely need to address that from policies. Now, all these issues, personal problems and the rest, ensure that issues within a workplace are addressed through policies. They are not addressed like personal problems, you know, because I will begin to feel like unanionea, you know, I'll begin to feel like it's becoming personal, you know. So have the right policies in place so that when you address work ethics, you are going into your code of conduct, you're going into your policy documents. So if you're having a conversation, we're having a conversation around policies, we are having a conversation around something that you inducted me and I signed off to. If I am abusing substance that's affecting my performance, you are not attacking me as a person, but you're coming from our policy states this and this. And this is now happening and it's affecting your performance. Now, that way, you have left the personal space and it's now a professional space. If you've trained me on equipment and I signed off that I'm okay and I'm confident and I'm fine, then you approach that from the policy side. So I keep saying, let us learn to address professional issues from a policy perspective. So I think we move to the next one, which one is? How to enhance mentees' performance, use colleagues, boss, client feedback. I say this with reservation, but be careful what feedback you get from different people. On your mentees, know what to take and what not to take. You could get colleagues and boss and client feedback that is biased. So as a mentor, you will know what to take and you know how to address that. Mentees' accomplishments and summary. So you can use the accomplishments and all that. Development and learning plan, of course. This way, when you have a plan, you're able to address that. Goal setting for upcoming year, set the goals and see and measure the goals. That's what I'm saying. You need to have a structured relationship so that it's never personal, because without a structured relationship and without policies, then we are human beings. We are bound to say, you just don't like me, you know. Maybe someone comes, is not achieving their goals. If you have set the goals and they're written down, they are signed off, then you're able to spot that. Review of goals and accomplishment, performance feedback and evaluation meetings. Ensure that you document these meetings. And that's why we talked about documentation. Document the feedback from clients. I have been in situations where clients complain about a certain person, employee, and it is important for you to ask the clients to document so that when you go to the person, it is never personal or it's not hearsay evidence, you know, or that. So even when it comes to review and feedback and evaluations, just make sure they are all documented. Overall performance summary and merit and recommendations. Principles of designing mentoring process. The mentoring process should be designed, planned, and implemented, keeping the following principles in mind. Motivate the mentee. I think we talked about that. Invite active participation of the mentee. We talked about that. Keep doing that. Don't dictate meetings. Allow the mentee to speak. Allow the mentee to even challenge what you're saying. And take the challenges that they give you positively, because I always want to go into a meeting or into a session like that as a mentor with an open mind, because a mentee could also know something you don't know. So provide continuous and constructive feedback. Constructive feedback is a word here. That which will help the mentee grow. Fulfill purpose of mentoring to meet organizational goals, provide opportunities for growth and development of the mentees, provide opportunities for applying mentoring advice. So, and that's what I said, it allow the mentee to do what you're saying practically. You don't just take them through theory and they're not able to implement or practice it in the workplace. So if you're mentoring me in for another role, allow me to even make a decision. Of course, you don't give absolute powers for them to make decisions, but at least you can allow them to make a decision and then come back and evaluate the decision that they made. Did that work? Did that fail? Or what implication did that have? Include on-job training opportunities. I think that is what we've been saying. Allow them, if you're teaching them anything technical, allow them to come with you. Even if you're doing field work, if you're going to report on a story or something, allow them to come with you. If you're in HR, of course, be very careful of the access you give, especially to sensitive information, but there are things that you can do. If you're drafting a policy or you're drafting something, allow them to do it and to come with you so that they can learn and know that they've done it. Try to include away from the job training. Opportunities include a proper and effective implementation of mentoring plan. Be delivered, allow it to be delivered in an open, efficient, and consistent manner. I think that is that for now. Planning for coaching others. Define where the employee is currently in your mentoring process. You need to define where the person is. Your mentees may not be at the same level. And that's why we said understand them as an individual. So where is Esther and where is she going? What positions are you coaching for? You know, if you're preparing me for a senior manager role, identify that and understand what will be my responsibility in the next step. So you understand where I am now and where you want to take me. Then what are the key skills you have identified for coaching for that position? So if you're the mentor or the coach, understand that if you're coaching me or mentoring me for a senior manager role, you need to understand fully what it takes. Either you're in that role or you understand fully what is required of me in the next role, so that as we move this journey together, as you identify where I am, the position and the requirements, then you begin to develop these skills. You begin to target assignments, begin to target responsibilities that are heading there. What is their experience, education, training? Because you cannot prepare me for a senior management role if I am at a very junior role. I think there's progressive growth that you need to understand so that you also don't, there's something we keep calling promoting people for failure. You know, you promote me and give me a very high role that I cannot manage. What has changed since your last coaching review? I think that's okay. We talked about it. And what has changed inside your company, which might alter your coaching plan. Now, organizations are said to be living organisms. They change. You wake up tomorrow and you find the structure has changed. You find that the investor or the business owners have decided, or the leaders have decided to restructure it otherwise. So when things change in the organization, remember to change, to alter your coaching plan. Because if you are coaching me for a senior manager role and yesterday's board meeting scrapped that off and designed it otherwise, please just make sure you move with the changes. Have the current candidates performed? How have they performed to date? Measure the performance. How are they performing? Are they in the right direction? Do you need to change the trainings that you're giving? Do you need to change the mode you deliver? Do you need to change maybe how you do it? Think around that, and keep measuring how they are performing, because you don't want also to get surprised. You don't also want to get disappointed by their growth. So be careful what jobs have changed and how have they changed since your last coaching process. Define the aim of your coaching process in light of your current coaching. We've talked about that. What can you identify if coaching efforts did not work out as expected? What will the scenario be in 3 to 5 years of your candidates, and what will your key people be doing then? So you need to have that vision. Look into 3 to 5 years of your candidates. Where do you envision them to be? What would you want them to be? If it's Esther you're coaching and she's not able to make decisions right now, do you want to see me as a director? Do you want to see me as a manager? And what kind of a manager do you want me to be? You know, what kind of a leader do you envision me to be? What kind of, whatever person you want me to be. So think about that. What openings will you coach for to fill due to attrition? Now, this one, you need to think about it with a structure in mind. As a mentor, it's important for you to understand the organizational structure and understand it fully. Identify where there's a gap in the structure. So I have seen, I've been in organizations where, especially in SMEs, the structures mostly have, you will see a role that is to be filled 2 years from today or 1 year from now. We envision having this person in this organization. People have those futuristic structures. So if you're mentoring someone or you're coaching somebody, then you need to understand what gaps are in the structure, organizational structure, on what roles you are and what roles you're training them or preparing them to take, or possible attrition. It is normal, as one of us was saying here, that you could possibly get exits in an organization. So if then there's an exit, let's say in a reporter, a news reporter, it's possible for you to begin to train and to mentor people for that role, so that when there's a gap in that space, then someone will be ready and prepared for it. If there's a role that the organization envisions to have 6 months, 1 year, 2 years down the road, you can begin to prepare people for it. So you need to have an understanding of where the business is going. You need to also have an understanding of the strategy, the organizational strategy, because if an organization envisions to open branches in other countries or to go regional, then you can begin to prepare people for those roles in advance. I advise that organizations always look internally before you can go to look for talent externally. And the reason why organizations go out is because there are no people prepared internally for business growth. So when you begin to go regional, they begin to look for other people. They begin to advertise jobs, and you wonder, and people begin to feel like you didn't consider us. The gap is in the mentoring process. It's in the coaching process, because if you have mentored people that can possibly go and run your branch in a different county or in a different country, then the gap is addressed. So what new disciplines will the company require, and how will you coach for them? Now we are in the tech space, and we keep saying, especially HR, if we have HR in the room, begin to look at your organizational structure and the talent and skills that you have. Audit the skills of your employees currently and see which jobs will possibly be phased out by technology in the next few years. Now, if you're able to spot those jobs that will be phased out by technology in the next few months or few years, you can quickly begin to train those people. You don't have to get rid of them. What you do is you identify training that prepares them for the future of technology, the future jobs, so that when you get there, your teams are well prepared for the jobs then. So you need to audit the skills right now. You need to audit where the employees are and prepare them. Organizations need to invest in their talent so that in future, their jobs are not phased out. See, I've worked in organizations that do manual environmental before. You sort plastic manually. Now, there are machines that are coming that will sort different types of plastics. They will sort the plastic in color. A machine can detect black, red, green. A machine can detect, is it a HDPE and whatever it is, PET plastic and the rest. The machine can quickly sort that now. So you need to quickly know which jobs will possibly be phased out by technology or by any other innovations, and begin to upgrade your employees and your team members so that they are not phased out and they are not thrown out of our business because they were not ready for it. So the new disciplines which the company will require, begin to train and prepare people so that then you're able to retain. And that's a question that was being asked about retaining talent, because people will go. People can either go, the system can either just get them out, or technology will get them out, or lack of challenges can get them out of the business. So prepare them and invest in them. Who will be involved on coaching process and what will each be doing, identify that, and spot leaders, spot people that are able to raise others. Not everybody can mentor, not everybody can coach others, but you should be able to identify people within the organization and give them the responsibility to raise others. Now, what new opportunities have emerged which may lead to change in the coaching plan? I think we talked about when will each part of the coaching process start and end, and how you will judge their progress. We've discussed that all the way. What criteria will be used to determine each candidate's ongoing fitness for his or her career path? This needs to be very clear. The criteria that will be used to determine the candidate's ongoing fitness and the career path. Now, when you hire people, it is important for you to discuss their growth from the entry point, because employees begin to disengage and get confused when they get into an organization in a certain role, but nobody has discussed with them where they could possibly fit in the future. Now, if I come into an organization and you tell me you're coming in as a HR officer or HR manager, however, we envision that this organization is growing, we are going into the regions, we would definitely not need to hire regional HRs. So we envision that you will grow within the business and be the regional HR and possibly be maybe in charge of this and this countries. Now, what you have done is that you've given a vision, you've given career growth plan to that person. So when a person joins an organization, they need to clearly be told, you could possibly, looking at your skills, you have an opportunity to grow into this position. So then they will deliver and they will work hard. And even if you give them a mentor or a coach, that is what they'll be aiming at. So then you need to understand, they need to understand where the organization is going. What coaching alternatives can you offer those who are not meeting expectations? How does that come from evaluating their performance and the rest? How does your coaching plan fit with your expectation of where your company, market, and internal situation will likely be going? I think that's what I've said. So that you're coaching people with the future of the organization in mind. Define how you will get from where you are today to what you want the candidate to look like at the end of the current coaching. We've talked about that. That needs to be very clear, and the mentee needs to understand it. And if possible, in every session that you have, you need to review that, how we will get there and what success looks like. And that's what I said from the start. On what basis will you determine if someone is not progressing, and what can you do to help that person develop to their fullest? We talked about this because you need to set the ground rules. You actually need to also set the goals from the start, that this is how we measure, you know. It's the same way you're given a job description. Now, we see job descriptions without KPIs, and that's where we have an issue with measuring performance. Because if you tell me that I am supposed to sweep this place every day, that is a description of my job. So how does a clean workspace look like? You know, so if you give the roles, the duties, ensure that they are measurable. And if they're measurable with the numbers attached to them, make sure they are numbers. If someone is in sales, you don't just say that you need to sell this product. That's fine. If I sell one, then to me it's success. But how does success look like to an organization? Maybe to the organization, success is selling 100 pieces in a month. So then can we have that broken down, that performance is measurable? Because then that way you can be able to know if the person is progressing. If the person is hitting 50% or 10% or 20%, then you can have a conversation that is based on numbers and things that you can easily measure. Because the mentee will come and say, I think I've progressed. And you're there saying, no, you've not progressed. That conversation is very easy when you say, you were meant to do 1, 2, 3 to hit 10%. And then 3, 4, 5 to be at 20%. So you've only done 1, 2, 3. So it's very clear and candid that you're still at 10%. Because for me, I will do 1, 2, 3 and come and say I'm at 100%. So let it be measurable. What do you do next once a coaching plan is in place and people are in the process of being groomed for higher responsibilities and positions? So those are things that you need to plan. When you have the plan to coach and people are moving into higher positions, so what next? So think even as a mentor. If you get me, what does success look like? Once I get to the senior manager position, is that it? You know, because sometimes we drop people off and just say, you've arrived. I've left you at that. Does it mean that you either develop another plan or you will hand me over to somebody else, or what is it? Where are we going from there? Elements of an effective mentoring process: role clarification, goal alignment, ongoing feedback, ongoing performance in mentoring, developmental goal setting. We've talked about that, coaching and support, standardization, trained coaches, continuous open communication, mutual trust and confidence. The mentee must trust you, especially with their weaknesses. It's very easy to go along with my strengths. But if I'm a mentee and I have weaknesses, I should be able to trust you and have confidence that you have my best interest at heart. Yeah, reliability. You must be reliable also as a mentor. Mentoring review, we've talked about that much. The success or failure of the mentoring process depends upon several things, such as a mentor should use positive motivational techniques to keep the mentee happy and satisfied with positive and constructive feedback and build rapport with the mentee. We talked about that before. The mentee should be allowed to participate more in the mentoring process. It will help the mentee to be more satisfied with the mentoring advice. We talked about this. Get them involved. get them involved. It will also help the mentee to be more satisfied with the mentor. It will make them more likely to accept and meet performance improvement objectives. Mentor and mentee should both participate in mutually setting specific performance improvement objectives. We've discussed this all the way. Mentors should focus on discussing and then providing solutions to problems that hamper mentees' current job performance. As a mentor, if you identify a barrier or problems that hamper the mentee's performance, be quick to resolve that. Remove the barriers. If it means you going to the next level and discussing that performance, please do. And maybe the facilitation of something, just be there, be the go-between person for that to help the mentee. Both mentor and mentee should employ more thought and preparation before the feedback discussion, which will lead to greater benefits of the mentoring process. I think we've talked about most of these things. The mentoring process will be more beneficial if the mentee perceives that mentoring results are tied to career rewards. Yes. Now, if you're mentoring me and I don't see any rewards, and rewards again can be cash, it can even be recognition. You say, I keep saying as a professional that employees don't just need a check. If you can give it, give it. But even a pat on the back when you meet an employee in the organization and say, I appreciate what you're doing, and we see the growth, we see your contribution. We really do appreciate. It goes a long way. The following are steps for mentoring process. Develop a mentoring and communication strategy. I think we discussed that. Identify expected behavior and competencies. Set the ground rules. We said this. Determine critical strengths and weaknesses. Identify current and future competencies for growth. Develop an evaluation strategy. We talked about that. Create assessment and selection tools. How are you going to assess me and what tools are you going to use? Maybe how we will meet, the meetings we'll have, which tools do we use? Do you have maybe a software? I know there are organizations that have tools, they have systems that you key in your performance and you just submit your achievements and it will appraise. Supplement job functions to include management and soft skills. As you develop other skills, remember to develop the soft skills of a person because they need to operate within different teams and different groups. So don't forget the soft skills part. Identify gaps in current and required competency levels. We've talked about that all the way. Develop individual development plans for employees. Please, as you engage a mentee professionally, try to also touch into their personal lives. Of course, don't go too deep into their personal lives, but sometimes the performance and the growth of a mentee or of a person can be hampered by their personal goals. It begins with your personal goals. Where do I want to see myself, What do I want to achieve, even personally? Sometimes if a person has no financial discipline, or they don't have time management skills at work and outside work, it definitely flows back into the office. So you need to, what is important needs to be handled, what is not for you, don't go deep into that, but develop the individual development plans. Let them tell you what they envision. If they are the breadwinners or whatever it is, whatever responsibilities they have, listen to them. That's why I said when you're beginning, understand the person. Understand there are people who have absolutely no other responsibilities at home. There's someone else that has a whole community on their shoulders. So then you understand that this person wants to grow so that they're even able, some of them will tell you, I want to really grow and get a good job move into this position, earn more money, and be able to pay school fees for my family members, or feed my parents, or take care of my sick leave parents. Now that, for you as a mentor or a coach, it tells you where this person is coming from. So you're able to walk the journey with them. That's a very different person than from the one that says, I live with my parents, I don't pay bills, I splash my money. I mean, those are two different people, and you need to know how to approach them on how you mentor them and assist with leadership transition and development. We talked about that. Develop an evolution plan for leadership roles. Let me look at the chat. I see 20. I want to be sure. So that we go on together. I want to know what the questions could be here. Okay, I think there was a conversation on numbers. I see numbers here. So I assume that for the purpose of recording attendance for today's session, to type here. Oh, okay. Okay, that's why there's a lot of conversation. I didn't want to ignore anyone. The difference between coaching and mentoring. Mentoring is basically for really not senior roles. Coaching more is a person. A coach is a person that says, that tells you, asks you hard questions. You know, a mentee can even be very junior, but a coach will ask you tough questions. A coach will ask you about 10 years from today, 5 years from today. A mentor will show you, will tell you, this is, I have walked this road, let us go this way. You've had people that say, you can't move from HR and move to this, you know, you can't change your career this way. So, but a coach looks at a bigger picture. A coach is really a person that asks a very tough question. I have a coach in my life, and in my life, I have a coach that tells me no to things that I really want to do, and I feel like this is the way I should go. I've invested in it, and a coach will ask me a very hard question. So where do you see this taking you? Sometimes those are questions that really open your mind to bigger visions, or even stop you from moving super fast. A mentor, you really could be holding a person moving from a junior role. The things you discuss are, this is the course you need to take. This is maybe your communication skills or something else. So it's more lower than a coach. Kindly, okay, the same question, I think. So Millicent, mentor, especially when it comes to preparing an employee for higher responsibilities. You see, it depends. If I am in a higher role than you, then I could mentor you to come up. It's like pulling you from down to top. Now, a coach can even be someone in your level, can be a CEO. You could be a CEO and you need a coach. Now, a CEO that needs a coach, I am not sure if the CEO wants a coach to teach them how to be a CEO. It's a coach who asks them very tough questions. Tough questions. Where are you taking this business? You know, the decisions you're making, you know, do you think it's a right decision? You know, very strategic questions, tough questions. A mentor, I could be lifting you from down to top. But a CEO will need a coach. And I keep saying, if there's a CEO in this meeting, you need a coach. You need an accountability partner. Now, an accountability partner mostly is not someone lower than you. It's usually someone that you admire, much higher than you. Now, mentorship can be either way. It can be, you can have what we call reverse mentorship. You can be mentored by, especially in these tech times, we have senior people that are being mentored by junior people when it comes to technology. I don't know whether you've seen that. So you can have reverse mentorship when an older person is getting advice from a junior. That's reverse mentorship, and it's okay. it's okay, because I have seen it in organizations. I've seen, because of technology, there's a generation that really is struggling with technology. And these Gen Zs, the Gen Zs are always on their gadgets. They understand everything that comes, anything new that comes in, they know it. So this older person has to accept that they have challenges. And the younger person will come and say, no, you just press here, press this and it happens. And to us who are older, we think the Gen Zs have some magic, but they can mentor. You can have reverse mentorship. Let me check on, okay, the rest are internal affairs of numbers. So characteristics of an efficient mentoring process: clear, elevating goals, result-driven structure. That's very important. I want to see it personally. If I have a mentor, I really want to know where we are going. At my level, I want to be very clear that this is where we are going and we will get there at this point. So all of us are committed to it. And then competent members. So that you're also working together. You need to know how to group your mentees. It might be a very difficult journey for you as a mentor if you have people at very different levels. Group them so well that you can be able almost to speak the same language. Because I can imagine you're in a setting where some of your mentees, their level of literacy is so low, and you have another one that is so high, you will almost waste their time for those ones that are very high, trying to come and pick the others. So you can always group them and see where you're going. An efficient mentoring process provides support from both sides, and both inside and outside. It needs to meet the individual needs of its mentees in order to achieve the organization goals. Now, remember, when you're mentoring towards organizational goals. Don't lose it. When you are designing goals and the path and the growth path, career path, it is within the organization. So be very careful so that you are not losing track. It is within the organization. You also need to understand, and I said this, the strategy, where the organization is going, what they envision in the next 5 to 10 years. So if you're a leader and a top leader, you must be having the strategy at your fingertips, because the mentees will ask you hard questions. They will ask you 5 years from now, where do you see KBC? So 5 years from now, what is it that you want to implement in this tech department or in this engineering? Where do you see us going? They will come and ask you very hard questions. You need to be equipped and ready for those questions. They will come and tell you, I don't see us watching TV in another few years. We are moving to our phones, and someone the other day said, we will scrap off TVs and project something on the walls. So you need to think where we are going, and you need to be informed. You have to learn and keep learning so that you're not challenged and put in a bad place. Someone is talking? Okay. So external support and recognition, principled leadership. As a mentor, you need to be a principled leader. You need to know how to stick to what is right. You need to be the leader. They say you need to lead yourself before you can lead others. Mentees will come with a mentality, number one, to weigh and look at you, and they analyze you, by the way, before you begin the journey. If anything, if there are people that know you well, they're your followers. You've seen, I don't know whether you've seen the iceberg of ignorance. I don't know any of you. Have you seen anything like the iceberg of ignorance anywhere? And now the iceberg of ignorance says that leaders at the very top only know 4% of the problems in an organization. Only 4%. Leaders at the top. The rest of the 96% of the problems in an organization are known by the rest of the people. In short, leaders have a shortfall of 96%. So when it comes to engaging employees, engage employees all the way to the bottom, or whether it is top, bottom, or bottom up, whatever you want to do it. But leaders, then the iceberg of ignorance says that a leader needs to come down to the level of the junior most employee. Sometimes your security people, on a light note, know more than you do. When you sit in your posh office and you think you know a lot, just have a conversation with the security guard, or have a conversation with the tea girl, or have a conversation with the cleaner. They seem to know so much, you are shocked. Some of the news that you get them from those people. So that really is the essence of that iceberg of ignorance, that leaders need to come down and hear from the people. It's not hearing rumors, but you need to hear from the lower person. You need to hear from the people. And so that when you're implementing any changes, when you're designing structures, when you're designing policies, when you're moving an organization to a certain direction, then you need to understand if you're targeting the same thing with what everyone else knows. So active participation and efficient monitoring process provides support from both inside and outside, as we have said, and working with the goals. Goals are clearly understood, innovative thinking, active listening, and feedback. I've seen leaders that don't listen. We might all have encountered a leader who is a know-it-all, you know? So you know what employees would do? They keep the ideas to themselves. The innovative thinking doesn't operate there, or the mentors or whoever you're talking to. If you're talking to employees and you don't give them the space to talk, they will just learn that is who you are. They will come into meetings and say yes to everything you say. So as a leader, especially if you begin to see that every meeting you hold, employees are saying yes and nobody challenges your ideas, there's a problem somewhere. So learn as a mentor to have active listening and to take feedback. Now, you don't have to be emotional. You don't have to, at least I can say the truth. I don't work at KBC, so you don't have to be emotional when employees give you feedback, you know? As a leader, the beauty about leadership is you need to be ready to be corrected as well. Of course, employees, when you're correcting your leaders, I say, be wise, be respectful, and know when to do it. I have taught people that they need to know when to correct their leader. You know, you can't just correct your leader in public. As a matter of principle, not just your leader. I keep saying correct, praise in public, but correct in secret. So just have wisdom. Even as a leader, we make mistakes as leaders. Sometimes employees have the solutions that we can't see, you know, but if we don't give them, we don't listen and take feedback. And if an employee gives feedback that challenges your thinking and that's why you have a team, you know. We keep saying hire people that are smarter than you. And it sounds to many people in conversations we've had, most people say, oh, I hire people that are smarter than me, they will take my job. No, look at it from a different perspective. If you hire people that are smarter than you as a leader, your work becomes easier. So you will get the right reports, you will get the right results, you will get the best out of them. If you hire people that don't know how to work, you will do operational jobs than strategic jobs. So even in your listening and feedback, learn to listen to what they tell you. Taking initiative, the characteristics of an efficient mentoring process, taking initiative, trust and respect. I said that, risk-taking, allow mentees to launch into something new, you know. When you're mentoring people, don't be too reserved. No, you can't do that. We've not done this before. We've not tried this before in this organization. Allow people to take risks, of course, calculated risks, so that you also don't risk the business. Weigh what could possibly happen with the risks that they take, but allow that. Be supportive, effective communication. You can communicate and not be effective. Make sure that your message is home. Make sure that your communication gets understood. Many times, I know I'm an advocate by profession, and sometimes we really make it difficult for our clients and people in the law courts to understand. When we begin, I put it to you, you know that this and this, the person gets lost. But when you really want to communicate, even if you're an engineer and you're communicating to a person you're mentoring, break it down into a language that they understand. You know, this is what this does. You can use your jargons and whatever, but break it down so that your mentee fully understands what you're saying. So just make sure that you're effective in your communication. And it's okay for you to repeat something until it is understood. Realistic goals and deadlines. Don't set goals that people can't achieve. It happens a lot in sales. Too well, out of history, you know that nobody has sold 5 million in a month in an organization. Maybe whatever the product you're selling, 50 million. Let me just put it at that, or 100. Maybe in your level, I know it's easier to do it because also the rate cards are higher. Assume someone gives you a 500 million goal. Honestly speaking, out of record, the highest person that has sold in this organization has sold 200 million, and that is in 10 years. Then you set a 500 million goal. Now, what you're simply telling the person is, you will never achieve this and you will never get commission. So it demotivates. It goes back to the motivation part. The person says, honestly speaking, they will keep trying and trying and trying and trying, and they will give up because it's not achievable. So set realistic goals for your team members, or even for those that you're mentoring, that you need to achieve this within this timeline. So your deadlines also must be realistic so that you're not demotivating your team. What do mentees expect from mentors? The following are some of the expectations: capability improvement. A mentor needs, I see it's 11. I know we have 30 minutes. We'll wrap up before time. The rest we'll do tomorrow. Capability improvement. A mentor needs to acknowledge the hard work of mentees and appreciate them in front of others. As I said, appreciate people in public, correct people in secret. Nobody wants to be embarrassed, especially when you have to talk about my weaknesses. Don't bring them out in public. It actually crushes me. It demotivates. It kills my morale. It doesn't matter how senior you are. Even if you are the director and someone just comes in front of people and says something very negative, it's a prick, you know? It's like the way you prick a balloon. It just deflates you, you know? And it takes people time to collect themselves again and build themselves. So learn to correct people in private and praise them in public. You can always call someone. And if it's someone that is very senior, I'll tell you something someone taught me, you know. There's a way my spouse taught me how to do a sandwich method, something he calls sandwich. And he says that when you call someone and you need to correct them, you need to do the sandwich method. We all know a sandwich. Now, the top part of a sandwich is bread. It's very soft. The down part of a sandwich is bread. very soft. The middle part of a sandwich is meat, very tough. So what you do is say, Esther, I honestly appreciate who you are. You're such a loving person. You're very understanding. You manage your teams very well. You have this and this, which is very good, and we applaud you for that. However, there's this 1, 2, 3 things that we would want you to work on. You need to be a team player. You maybe need to use the best language. You need to do this and try to change this part. But as said, you are the best team player. You're really a good person. So what you've done is really you've sandwiched. You've corrected me, yes, but you've sandwiched. So I will take home positives and the areas that I need to improve. So it's really a strategy that if you're correcting someone, including your top boss, and you need to be very careful, especially if you're lower and you want to correct your top boss. Be very careful how you do it. We all know that sometimes when a boss walks into an organization, you can almost tell the mood here today, leo hatuongei, let's be candid in this conversation. There are times you see your boss come in and you're like, the SMSs begin, WhatsApp chat begins to say, leo ni ile siku. Leo usimkaribie. So you need to know when your boss is in that mood where you can correct them and when you should be very careful not to do it. So understand, and not just your bosses, including your mentees and your colleagues at work. Just understand what works for this person, but try all the time to use a sandwich method. It will keep you going and it will keep you safe, and you retain and maintain the relationship. Then give them their due credit. That's it, the bread part. Make them feel important, definitely. Politeness, every mentee expects his or her mentor to be polite with him. And even the mentors expect that. So whatever you expect, please give it back to the mentee. Lend a sympathetic ear to their difficulties in learning and performing and help them whenever possible. Mentees expect their mentors to act as strong pillars of support. You have your weaknesses, yes, but you need to be careful even when you are gelling and bonding with your mentee. Just be careful what you share. Not every one of your weaknesses should be shared with your mentee, because some of those weaknesses will expose you and they'll begin to see you like an incompetent person. So don't think you're bonding, you're gelling, and you're telling them you have a weakness, a very major weakness. We all employ adults. Assume you have a weakness with women, and you come and tell your mentee, you're a man and you're mentoring a lady, and you're saying, I have a weakness with women. So will that person trust you, Rini? So just be very careful on how you do it and what you say, and let it not also be detrimental to your position, because some of the things you say just bring you down, and the mentee will think, I have the wrong person here. Mentees expect guidance and mentoring. Give honest feedback. Suggest new techniques or strategies. We've discussed that. The mentee expects you to be a role model. Mentees expect their mentors to be their role models. And I want to speak to this one. It's in the workplace and outside the workplace. I know it's very difficult. So when you're choosing to mentor people, remember that they are watching you on your social media spaces. They are watching you outside work. They are watching you in your social circles, whatever you do, and they are listening to what other people say about you. It's a leadership position. It's the same as leadership. You can't be in high level leadership and you're only composed and disciplined in the workplace, but very indisciplined outside work. You can't be my role model and you're telling me, intoxication is wrong, and after work we are collecting you in some trenches somewhere. That's not the role model that I want. So a mentee expects that you be the role model in everything. in everything. So be very careful how you conduct yourself. Create a style of your own, which is unique as a role model, so that they identify and they know that the reason I stick with Esther as my mentor is because of this and this. She's unique in this one. That one thing that separates me from others. That's what I actually talked about, personal branding. Why do you go for this brand and not this other brand? There must be something. There are people who will not take water from a different company. I have a friend that used to work with Coca-Cola, and he would never, even if we made any trip, he would never take any other water except Dasani. I'm not here to promote Dasani, because he worked for them. He would never take a soft drink from any other organization. So there's a branding part of it. Why KBC and not any other? You know, why you? Why would people choose you as their mentors and not somebody else? What is that one thing that differentiates you from other people? Why would people run to be mentored by you and not the other person in the same organization? And sometimes you're at the same level, but someone says, no, I don't want Esther, I want this other person. Why is it that they're choosing somebody else who is at your level, has the same skills, years of experience and exposure over you? There must be a reason why people want somebody else. So be that one person. Brand yourself well enough as a role model that people will always pick you. It's like being on a shelf. You know, you've seen there's some products on the shelf that will remain there until they expire. There are others that we run for when they come. So why? What is that differentiating factor? What is that sets you apart, that makes people want to be mentored by you? You know, and I want to say this: your character will take you to places where your skills were not. Your character will take you to places where your skills may not take you. So just make sure you have the right character that people want to be associated with, that when your name is mentioned, they really want to be close to you. They just want to say, you know, I've had jokes of people who say, you know, when a famous person is mentioned, they say, you know, I know the person. You know, don't be that person that people will keep quiet and say, I pray that they do not even know that I know that person, you know. So just be a role model in what you do. Open communication. Mentees expect mentors to interact with them. Encourage two-way transparent communication during mentoring process. I think we talked about this. Liberty. Do not be too rigid with your mentees. Be flexible. But remember, I said, maintain the respect. Be flexible, maintain the respect, and give them freedom to work in their own way. Don't micromanage people. There's another problem in the workplace where you micromanage people. What are you doing? You're on my machine, you're on my notebook, you're all over me. You know, micromanagement is toxicity, for lack of a better word. Your mentees will feel choked if you micromanage them, if you don't give them freedom to do their own things. I said I am an organizational culture diehard. I believe in creating the best organization, I mean environment in the workplace. So I discourage micromanagement. Allow people to bring out their best. You cannot get the best out of people if you micromanage them, if you keep calling, how far are you? What have you done? What is this? I mean, I see, and there are other people that have what do you call that? Where you share the machine that they can even see. I've seen people that actually go through your machine. I've seen bosses that will want to come and go through your laptop. You see, if you don't trust a person, employees, and not just employees, even people in your circles, if you don't trust them, then there's no relationship. So give freedom. Of course, you need to manage that freedom. There are people that will abuse the freedom. So you need to know how to give it and how to monitor it, but do not micromanage people. Let people be creative. Let people be able to give their best. Trust people. You see, when we talk about toxicity, we talk about micromanagement, we talk about lack of trust, we talk about those shouting leaders or bosses and the rest. So when you don't trust people, then it ends up into a toxic work environment. And as we were being asked before, it leads into talent leaving, because nobody wants to be micromanaged. Nobody wants to be, it's like you have DCI around you, your boss is all over your machine, your phone, you touched your phone, you did this. Give people freedom to work in their own way. There are people who just want to even work in the night. I don't know whether you have a flexi, that's for you as an organization. But when people work, there are people that like tech people. I don't know, something about creatives. Creatives work better in the night. I've never understood. Maybe if there's a creative on call, they could tell us that as their parting shot. They say their ideas flow well in the night. So creatives might have to build, they decide to build something in the middle of the night and they deliver it. But then in the morning, they don't want to wake up for some reason. I don't know. I'm yet to understand that. But if they deliver, give people their freedom. If you've given them assignments and they've delivered, some organizations want to see you there. There are some jobs that you can't do remotely. We agree. There are others that can be done. And if it can be done and delivered, and people even come to you as a leader and say, there's a lot of disruption in the office. I'm not able to think creatively. I'm not able to innovate. I'm not able to. And you monitor that person, that when you give them the freedom to deliver from wherever they are, they give you the best results. Then have a conversation and see how you work that around. So I think it's organization to organization. I don't want to tell you how to work. There's equality. Treat your employees without bias. You can't be a leader and have favorites in your team. Now, when people get to know that Esther is the leader of our team, but Jane or John is her favorite, those ones, when they ask for permission to go on leave, they will get it. When they ask for this, they'll get it. When they want to do something, they'll get it. But wait until we go, it will be denied. Now, people watch you closely. That's why I said, be a role model. You can't have double standards and you're a leader or a mentor. You can't. If it is a no for Esther, it's a no for Jane, it's a no for John, it's a no for David, or whoever it is. You better treat people with equality, Also provide people a platform. If it is career growth, provide people with equal platforms. Don't provide a certain person with more trainings. It's only Esther that is sent for training. It's only Joseph that is sent for training, or Josephine is sent for training. The rest of us, even if we apply for training, will never get it. Now, people begin to see that, and you will lose talent if that's how you are, or you even lose credibility as a leader. So treat people without bias. It doesn't matter where they come from, tribe or whatever. Treat people with equality as a leader or as a mentor. Now, fair treatment, be open and fair about evaluating each mentee's performance. Please do the same thing. Don't be biased. If you need to correct things, correct. Handle people equally. If it is a 10% score for this one, it is a 10% score for the other one, if it's the same performance. So just make sure that they do not see any or spot an iota of bias in whatever you do. Connect on personal level, connect on the personal level with your mentees. That's why I said sometimes people bring a lot, and it's not bad. People carry a lot from home. They come burdened by things that both of them from home. They could have a sick person. They could have issues at home. So try and build a good foundation with your employees and your mentees as a mentor, so that you know how to address people, and you can also understand where someone is coming from before you begin to attack. Now, I have learned many lessons in life, and I've learned that there's a difference between attacking a problem and attacking a person. Now, when you begin to tell people, you always do this. Now, That way you're attacking a person, even in your personal relationships, outside work. You have a friend or you have your spouse or whoever it is, and you begin to tell someone, you always do this, you always do this, you always, really, a person can be bad 100%. So if you're dealing with an issue, don't attack the person, attack the issue. And it's important, someone trained me to say, I feel offended when you do 1, 2, 3, 4. Now that way you're attacking a problem and not a person. I feel offended, or it affects the business performance when you do not deliver this on time. So you have separated the person and the issue. But if you drag me as Esther, you always do this, Esther, you're like Esther, I've even had bosses that really attack people on personal levels. This is how you look, this is how your face is, this is how your shape is, it's very inhumane. If you have to correct people, please attack the issue, let it be professional, and let it never be personal. Inquire about their individual progress, difficult areas of learning, doubts and concern. And I think I want to stop here today. It is 11:17, so that if we have any question, we can do that and allow you to digest, and then we can do the rest tomorrow. I know it's quite a lot. We have talked and talked. It's 3 hours talking, so I can imagine. So any questions before we call this a day? I want to keep time so that you also do. Hope we shall get today's presentation in our emails. Dan is on the call, and I know this is usually provided on the platform, so that will be handled from the office, the CHRP. Yes. Any other concerns or questions or comments? I can stop presenting actually, so that we talk to each other. True. So yes, let's have a conversation before we close. We were to go up to 11:30. I want to keep time. Great presentation. Thanks for training. Looking forward to receive the notes to digest more. Thank you, Susan. Any question, comments before we close? And I allow you to go and build the nation. We meet tomorrow. Quite informative. Thank you, Josephine. I know it was a marathon, and tomorrow I will request that we join in good time, kindly, so that we have ample time. We have a lot to discuss, and we have a lot to cover. Thank you for that. So if there's nothing else, then okay, someone wants to speak? Radio Prod. I see a Radio Prod, someone quite informative. Thank you.
Yes, my name is Martin.
Yes, Martin.
Very good lessons learned.
Thank you.
But I have a serious concern.
Uh-huh.
This is one of the longest continuous lessons that I've had in a long, long time.
Uh-huh.
I wish it was structured differently for us to gain maximally from it. Because when we have you talk alone for so long, even if you are very interesting, very exciting, at some point it can get a bit boring. Secondly, this online business, yes, we know the reasons, we understand the reasons why we are online, but for us to gain maximally, for us to benefit maximally, sometimes physical interaction gives better results.
I
So
hear you.
those are just remarks. Those are just concerns that I think should be considered even as we plan for another very long one tomorrow.
Very long one tomorrow. Again, I hear you,
because,
and we need to take feedback. I have taken feedback positively. Yes.
Again, in between, when you are interrupted a little bit, we are in office. When we are interrupted a little bit, you lose track of a whole 10, 15 minutes, and that's not very gainful.
Good, good.
So as you retire, to look at what you told us, consider this.
Yes,
and
thank you.
The people plan, the people structured this should also consider that.
That's good. That's very good feedback, Martin. Very good. I know it is. 3 hours is quite a lot. And especially online. You see physical, you never even realize that. But we take the feedback positively. Thank you very much. Anyone else with the feedback, with some feedback? Is Dan in the room? Okay, yes. Oh, yes, Dickens. Hi. Now I see you.
Oh, you see me. That's very good.
Yes.
First of all, let me give you a compliment. You are very eloquent. You are fluent. You are, in fact, you among the other trainings which you have virtually, your network is very good. We really understand every word spoken and everything, and the way your work is planned. That is very encouraging.
Thank you.
Number two is just to add what Martin Nyongesa Kingasi have said. Doing this thing in the office, like me being under administration, under security, it is a bit challenging.
Yeah.
It's a bit challenging. So that point which Mr. Martin Kingasi have raised, I think I know there are maybe some limitations, but it can be done in intervals. Meanwhile, we love you more, and please, this thing can be done at least it's even once a while. You see, mentorship needs challenges. Yeah. So when it can be done frequently, maybe we can have a plan where twice a year or maybe once a year, without even taking 6 years, 7 years. I agree. Otherwise, we highly benefited, and God bless.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much. I see Chariot saying, great job, Esther. It was interesting. It never bored, even for a moment. Only problem is the unstable internet, which is beyond us, I guess. Some people had an issue with the internet. Yeah, sorry. That does happen. Yes, Okoth. Is that the same hand raised? I can't hear you. Is it only me? Are you on mute or what's? Okoth, I can't hear you. Can you hear me? Can anybody hear him? Or is it my problem? Is my issue?
No, we can't hear him.
We can't hear
No,
him.
it's not.
Good morning.
Yes, we can hear you now. Good.
Okay. I've removed the earphone.
Okay.
Now, on behalf of KBC, first, I would like to thank SCHRP for organizing this training.
Yes.
And more so, I would like to appreciate the facilitator, Madam Esther Katiba.
Thank you. Thank you.
It has been great, insightful, and enriching to us.
Thank you.
At the same time, I would like to appreciate the participants who have managed to join for this webinar and their e-presence throughout the session. I know some joined late, including myself, but we are happy that we were able to catch up during the presentation. We are taking quite a lot home, especially in terms of our roles as mentors, that is enhancing performance, bringing the best out of the mentees through their hidden talents, empowering the mentees, and also injecting valuable skills to the mentees, quite a lot. So we do appreciate it has not been in vain at all. Now, for the participants, the corporation signed the performance contracting agreement with the ministry through the board of directors. And in that document, the corporation committed to use a performance intervention which includes mentorship and coaching. And therefore, the corporation is taking this process keenly, and the board approved the KBC mentorship and coaching policy, which will circulate to all the mentors. So far, all the HODs have responded in nominating mentors. We have a total of 44 mentors and coaches. And at the moment, the MD is in the process of signing the formal appointment letters to all the mentors. So the nominations were not in vain. And each one of us should ask ourselves why we were nominated to be mentors. Sure. There's a good reason for our nomination and our appointment as mentors. So we do take this process seriously. Now, we are planning to have an induction meeting, but we felt it was good enough for us to go through this session. I interacted with the brochure from the ACHRP and came across this program. And I felt that indeed it was going to be beneficial to all of us. That's why we really rushed. I contacted my brother then, and he was able to come on board and assist us to have this rolled out. So this is one of the many, many sessions we are planning to have. And I do take positively the reaction from the members that we need to have a physical interaction with the facilitators and all the participants. So we'll get into that, and we'll agree during our induction meeting on the way forward. So for today, I won't say much, given the limited time. What we'll do is to form a WhatsApp group for ease of communication. And tomorrow I would like to request each one of us to join in good time, and also to communicate to other mentors, also to connect, so that we gain as we go along together. Thank you for that. Thank you, all the members. Thank you, our facilitator. We do appreciate. And also, Brother Den, thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you very much. That's quite encouraging. So we meet tomorrow. And I know, yes, adult learning is not easy. Adult learning has never been easy. Even if you're at home, you'd still have some of these challenges with your children calling you here and there. So because you're a leader, it calls for you to improve yourself, to develop yourself, and to also manage some of the work that you do. So see you tomorrow. Have a good day. And thank you for choosing ACHRP. Thank you and have a good day.
Thank you.